morning, everybody. It's another solo adventure with me today. Um, we've got Monty still on vacation, so we'll see how today goes, see how long we stream. We've got a huge green candle to start right out the gate here, so um, yeah, we're just monitoring it. It's kind of broken all my orb lows and highs and stuff. I don't know why they're tripping out, but we'll take a look. So you've got this is a bad orb lot. So your orb low is 55.53. Your orb high here is 55.76. We've got our box drawn 55.63 to a low of 55.26. So we're just keeping an eye on everything. See what. Again, no rush. No rush. We had Trump attack Canada on Truth Social this morning. So that is intriguing. Let's see if I can get my market tide up and running. I may go dark here for a second. Bear with me. And yep. So let's set that up real quick. Boom. All right. So as you can see, general market tide is ripping higher with calls rising, puts dropping. You've got SPY tide, though, showing puts rising, call premium dropping, but that volume is increasing. So we'll keep an eye on that one for now. I'll switch back to this chart. So busy week this week. Not a lot of economic data today. No major economic data, actually. So could be why there's a little bit of runway here for the market. What you are seeing is, some Trump. Redo that. Why not? Some Trump expansion, if you will, or sorry, Trump post randomly showing up, which is why I put that in the description today. I mean, you just every day have to be mindful of that. But one thing I'm going to be watching for is how influential is Trump to the market. The candles will come. Will they be smaller? Will they be larger than previous? So the tariff stuff, he'd send out a message, you'd get a 30, 40 point candle. Now you're looking at, are we going to be looking at 10 to 20 point candles? And then does it slowly kind of make itself, calm itself down, right? Obviously, major announcements will definitely cause major moves, but it seemed here lately anything that he said was causing a major moves. And I think the market is starting to digest that. Maybe not everything he's saying is actually should be taken too seriously, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We won't debate that right now, but that's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to see the reaction to the market as he speaks or randomly talks. So as of right now, we're just watching. We've got our now orb set. We did see some resistance at the orb high. I'm not chasing this candle. I'm gonna wait and see if it has any merit. Can it reclaim this box? What does it do there? I mean, if you guys followed us on Friday, we never got a retest at the top of that zone. It just ripped up. Or sorry, Thursday, not Friday. Thursday, last time we streamed Friday, I got caught in some chop. I made some really poor decisions. So it ended up costing me greatly. And here we go. We just got a big candle down to test the top of the zone. And just as fast as you could blink, it came back and bounced right off of it. However, we want to see how this candle closes. So it definitely found some buyers at the top of the zone, which is near the 8 ribbon on the 5 minute. We flip over to the 10 minute. The 10-minute chart shows super bullish, right? So you have a candle by candle to the upside here. So actually a perfect entry on this candle would be around that top of the zone at 55.63. Let's take a look at any news we got. Not seeing anything right now on the news wires that I'm looking at. Let me flip over, see if Bloomberg's got anything for us, Mr. Walter. Yeah, nothing crazy. So here we go. Let's take a look. We may actually have a trade right out the gate here. Switch over to my XFA. You got almost got to the top of it. You did bounce off the top of the Bollinger Band, but we're going to wait for this at least a 5-minute candle to close. Volume definitely came in on that last candle. So let's take a look at the 5-minute to see. So that volume came in. So it's not just an automatic buy here. We have to see how this candle closes. I mean, again, it could shoot right back up, but no point being in a hurry. We do have a huge earnings week. Let me pull this up real quick. Find us our earnings calendar. If you don't follow them on Twitter, follow Earnings Whisperer. They have a very nice calendar that they release every week. Good service as well to support. We are flirting at the top of the zone. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. We'll get into earnings later on in the week, but obviously this move down here can give us an opportunity to enter. You are seeing a little bit of buying here at the top of the zone. We've got a lifetime left on this candle, 2 minutes. If we flip over to Tide, you guys can see that's buy Tide starting to come down, but look at that volume contract. So that's what you're looking for. You need that volume to tick back up for us to feel a little bit confident on a play here. However, it is showing support at the top of the zone. I'm trying to wait and be patient to enter, not mid candle, but that may end up forcing me to miss this trade. If we look at the 10 minutes, did have a candle by candle. It was a perfect spot where I said I would want to get in. Well, I'm battling myself here. I'm going to go ahead and enter one. I'm going to enter one here. So I entered at about 55.65. We get down to the top of the zone again and show some strength. I'll add some more, but I'm just give me a little starter position, see how it goes. Again, trying to look out for any news, right? Any bombshell news, not seeing any. So that could have just been us coming out the gate a little too hot. And sellers, rightfully so, securing profits on a pretty busy earnings week. All theories, nothing is certain. Here we are at the top of the zone. We got 1 minute left on the 5-minute candle. Don't love the look of this now, which is why I only took one, taking a little bit of risk. Probably take another here on the 8, which is near the top of the zone. And we'll see what this last minute of this candle shows. You know, could we go all the way back down to the orb low? Absolutely. But looking at Tide, volume is coming down. I'll show you here. So volume did go red, so that this trade may end up being a losing one for you. I am only into MES and down just a couple points right now, so I am having a little bit of conflicting strategies. So what we did here is we entered really on this 10-minute candle by candle. So theoretically, if this candle gets below the low here, 55.56, I should just go ahead and cut it. The trade didn't work out. If it can hold up and show some sort of strength, which it is not right now, Tide is definitely going to the way of the bears. So yeah, I may just have to cut this for a small loss. Start the week off with a little red. So still there. We go to the 5-minute chart. We want to see it recapture this 8, but it doesn't look like it wants to. It looks like that may be resistance now. And a lifetime on this candle. 10-minute wise, you see how bullish it was looking, and then this wick came down, and now you've got a potential bearish engulfing candle forming on the 10-minute. We'll keep an eye. So it is kind of battling the bottom of this 8 ribbon here, looking for buyers. We look around Mag 7. You've got Apple slightly under 210, had a nice push up. You got Nvidia slightly red. There was some chatter of a rival AI chip coming from, I think, China company Hui. I don't know how to pronounce it. Microsoft slightly down 390. Google slightly down 161, basically. Amazon earnings week this week. I would expect Amazon to trend flat to up this week. Same with Apple, given their earnings are. Meta, same, slightly green, up 0.5%. Tesla gave back a little bit of the 294. It's coming back down pretty hard now. As we see a little bit of a wick form on this bottom here, but again, an eternity left on this candle. So if we get a close below it, it's looking like we will. I'll go ahead and cut it for a small loss. We flip over to SPY to Market Tide. Oh, sorry, you guys have been on Market Tide. Market Tide is showing the puts are increasingly coming in. The volume is coming in, but that put premium just started dropping, as did the call premium. That doesn't matter. Yeah. So it looks like this candle is going to close below. Could potentially test VWAP and see what it does from there. Let's go back to the charts. As you can see, a little buyers showing up. But if this candle closes here for the next 2 minutes, and that is a clear engulfing candle on the 10-minute, definitely step laddering down on the 5-minute. We are at the orb low, so you got a little bit of to play here. Some EMAs that it has to cut through, a VWAP, orb low. So definitely rushed the trade. Didn't work out, but that's okay. That is okay. So we're going to start with a little bit of a loss today. It did hit my stop there. Probably is a good spot to enter with VWAP, but no rush. We took about a 140 loss on that. So not terrible. Not great, but not terrible. That was on one account. So yeah, so let's take a look back at Tide to see if there's any changes here. It is just increasing on the put side. You see that put premium starting to curl up. You see us testing VWAP here. So you got a little overextended on your RSI. It paid that taxes, and now it's coming down back to normal. We are now basically in a chop zone. This is where we just chopped all pre-market. So we've re-entered that chop zone. Does that mean we go all the way down to the bottom of the zone? No. This is your 50 moving average on the 5-minute. 10-minute wise, that is a definite candle by candle to the short side. However, it's broken away so much that it produces a pretty large range of where you could enter, where you couldn't. So that is a 27-point candle so far with 20 seconds left on it. I are seeing some support here at the around VWAP. So Tide is telling you, though, there could be more downside. As we switch back over, you look at it. Call premiums are ticking up. Volume is ticking up a little bit. But we'll just keep an eye. No rush. So if you were to enter a short here, you could enter at the 8, or if you're aggressive, you could enter at VWAP and see a rejection. But 30 here. What did you say to send the markets down? I honestly, let me put that up a little bit longer. I will say there's so many different things flying around. if the market wants to find a reason to go up or down, it's got its pick of the litter, to be honest. And you came out swinging right out the gate, but it looks like that got faded. Well, it did get faded all the way now, so we're back in the pre-market chop. So you can play it to the downside if you want. I took a losing trade, so I'm going to take a little break for a second. I'm going to just kind of process, let the market show me a better move. I was playing a 10-minute candle by candle to the upside, ignoring the wick, ignoring tide, which is probably the reason why I lost, but that's okay. If you look, let's see if there's any news. So is India going to invade Pakistan? Well, that's been a threat for a long time. Would Levitt say we're hearing more about trade deals this week. So a little optimism on trade deals. Let's see what Mancini has to say. Target 2 just hit 55.74. Today's primary target was 55.65. 55.34 is support. We held it, ran to 55.65. So we are approaching his support level, 55. What was that? 55.34. Yeah, 55.34. Which I'll add that to the chart. There. So we are getting a little bounce off the 50. I'd like to see it break above VWAP to have any confidence. Tide is suggesting a little bit more downside. You just see that volume creeping down ever so slightly. A little uptick in call premium, but same kind of look on puts. So we'll just keep no rush, no wakas. If we look at the earnings calendar for this week, you've got Waste Management after hours today. Nothing really crazy today. Tomorrow, before the open, you got SoFi, PayPal, UPS, JetBlue, Coca-Cola, Pfizer, Spotify. I think UPS will be a very interesting one to see how they're handling any sort of international shipments and things like that. After the close, you got Visa, which is always a good indicator of the consumer, Starbucks, Snap. Some good ones tomorrow. Then Wednesday, you've got Humana, Caterpillar in the mornings, but after hours is Microsoft, Meta, Robinhood, Qualcomm. Obviously, big names. Microsoft and Meta being a part of the Max 7. Thursday morning, you've got big pharmaceutical, Eli Lilly, Roblox, CVS, MasterCard, McDonald's. After the close, you've got Amazon, Apple. Those are the big ones, some fun ones in Atlassian, Reddit, and Airbnb, but obviously all eyes on Amazon and Apple to see how they're handling this Chinese trade war. Then on Friday, you've got your oil, energy, some energy reporting, Exxon, Chevron. Always tend to do it Friday mornings. So busy day in the market, or a busy week in earnings. And as you can see, we have kind of a hammer candle forming, breaking above VWAP here, approaching the 8. So it looks like we may get a little bit of recovery. Let's see if it has any sort of staying power. You got Tide is turning up a little bit on the volume. So was that just kind of a take profit moment? Was that a sign of things to come? More chop? We shall see. If we look at the 5-minute chart, you're now battling the orb low here. You are above VWAP, so you're just kind of in this decision zone, if you will. What do we do next? So hindsight, always 2020, but hindsight would have been to wait to see if this move here down was a sustainable one where it broke under VWAP. So as you see, we broke under VWAP, we held the 50, we bounced up, broke above VWAP. Now let's see if this can hold above VWAP. There is no sort of trade indicator here. You have increased volume on this candle up, that if you want to take it, you can. You are battling orb low here, and you're getting on that 8 on the 10-minute. or sorry, on the 5 minute, on the 10 minute. Yeah, just looks like a big drop down, and now you're getting a recovery. So do you recover all the way up? Tide is suggesting you could have some more potential move up as it's slowly recovering, but as we know with Tide, it can reverse on a dime. Volume is still red, but it is creeping its way higher ever so slightly. Now we are battling the 8 here, so we want to see, can it break out of our zone, pre-market zone? That would be a pretty bullish pop, if you will. I mean, these are not small moves that are happening right now. Let's take a look, see if Mancini has anything for us. Nope. Bloomberg, if we got any more of this. I mean, if we really did fall because India and Pakistan, that is kind of short-lived in my opinion. Here we come back down, testing VWAP. We'll see what else we have in store. We are aware of the issue with Tick Strike website. Yeah. Yeah. Just, again, kind of in a chop zone. We'll go back to the 5 minute. You see what's battling. With the battle in VWAP, you do have some buyers at VWAP. Yeah, puts are starting to tick up, but that is a pretty bullish wick here. So you'd like to see what it can do off of this aura blow, and it's holding VWAP. If you did want to go long, you could technically do it and just hold your stop below VWAP, which would be a bit of a risky move, but you can see a little bit of weakness showing up at the aura blow. Can't quite get the push it needs to break above it right now. And here we go, retesting VWAP. $10-minute candle. Got about 2 minutes left on it. Looks like it's started to become a little bit of an indecision one. The indecision candle is when you have basically your wicks are similar on both sides and a little bit of a smaller body compared to other candles. So an indecision candle obviously means 50-50, doesn't know really where it wants to go. Can be signs of reversal candles though. So if you had a down move and then an indecision candle, could be a sign that a bottom could be showing its head. We got about 1:30 left on this candle. It is holding above VWAP, so can't quite break the 8. Obviously, the bullish side is break the 8, go up. Bearish side is break down out of VWAP and break down. So it is in the 50-50 zone. My hunch doesn't mean much, but my hunch says you kind of get this choppy, grindy action all day between the zone. I don't think there's much data out there that makes people confident to go in or confident to go in long or short. Now, all that can change if a trade deal gets announced, but they've already kind of hinted that that may come later. But the anticipation of a trade deal coming could bring some buyers, in addition to, I don't know if there is any, but earnings optimism is always a thing where people do buy in anticipation of stronger earnings or in anticipation of earnings in general, right? Tesla had bad earnings, but they had good news with their CEO maybe coming back day to day. Well, it is coming back day to day next month. So it rocketed up, but even on the back of poor earnings. We are getting a little bit of a push here on market tide. I'll show that ever so slightly. That volume's going up, ticking up. Definitely need a little bit more, but it is ever so slightly pushing itself up. So new candle formed. We did close above VWAP. We didn't close above the 8. So what you want to see here, same rules apply. Break above the 8. It can go up, push up higher to the top of the zone, break below VWAP. It's going to break down, maybe break down that 50 to the Mancini level at 55.34. What we are seeing is that 55.34 level is holding for now. So even though it didn't test it to the nose, it got near it and buyers showed up. So just keeping an eye on. Michael C., do you trade inside the 15-minute orb? Michael C. asked this question. So I'm a little late on this question, but 3 minutes ago, Michael asked this. So you shouldn't trade between the orbs, really, because that's kind of your chop zone. However, in this particular case, reclaiming the orb low here does mean you are above VWAP, which gives you a little bit strength or a little bit more confidence to go long, but it is a high risk trade to just get chopped up. The orb is as tight as it is. This has been a while since we've had an orb this tight. Normally they've been like 40, 50 points. So we want to just keep that in mind, that even if you are trading inside the orb, it is historically a chop zone. And now you are getting a rejection at the orb low and you're getting a VWAP test. So you got to see it hold VWAP here. It looks like it does not want to hold VWAP. We're still waiting. Got about 2:30 left on this candle, so I can't draw any conclusions until the candle closes. We go to the 10-minute. You see support showing up on the VWAP line. Is that what it will need to now push up above the 8? But it was Monday. I got excited. I rushed my first trade. So my second trade, what I'm doing is trying to be a little bit more patient, because the chart will tell us where it wants to go. We just have to not try and get ahead of it. So just take your time, keep an eye on it, keep an eye on Tide, keep an eye on all these things. Obviously the news stream, but Tide has not really changed much its stance, even on this move up, or this recovery, I should say, of VWAP. So there's nothing really suggesting that the bulls are in control or the bears are in control. We're just kind of waiting for it to break out. And I do think, today just could be a boring day. I say that, and obviously a random post can happen, but there is no data really to look into. I mean, there's some bond stuff, some bill auctions, but the big thing is all contingent on how we handle whatever random tweets and posts we get out of the White House or other international company or countries. So their response, right? If China comes out, and not really their speed, but if China comes out and says something aggressively against the U.S., that's going to jar the market a little bit as well. So, but we are getting these wicks here. I'm going to flip to the 5-minute chart. These are interesting wicks on VWAP, but again, you're battling that orb low. 30 seconds left on this candle. To have back-to-back candles like that on the 5-minute would suggest that you do have buyers that are still stepping in at VWAP, obviously, but your volume here is kind of low, so can't really look into it too much. And then these last 10 seconds, we'll see if it's going to close it right in between orb low and VWAP. But this would be 3 candles in a row that closed above VWAP. But if you notice, each candle was lower than the previous candle. So that trend is definitely suggesting we could break VWAP here. But until we do, we can't really make a move. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. Enjoyed the Enjoyed the draft. Enjoyed any sporting events. Got to hang out with any family, friends. I watched a little bit of the draft. I got kind of annoyed by all the coverage of it. When your college team isn't very good, you don't really care about the draft too much. That's what I'm finding. But my NFL team is pretty stable, so they didn't really need much. They're not great, but they're not bad. So we had one of those middle of the road picks. Not fun to follow. Well, there was plenty of drama on the draft side. You are getting a candle trying to break up. I'm a Bucks fan. I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. So I've got Baker Mayfield as my quarterback. At first, I hated the signing, but having watched Baker, I loved it. I loved what he's done the last few years for us. And now you're getting a push up. Some news happened. ECB's reign. There's some tightening in credit conditions, but it may be short term. The jury's still out. That's just pretty light news day so far. I don't like this candle to hold this move up, to be honest. It's not showing a lot of strength. I mean, I know now it's pushing up beyond orb low, but well, there it goes. Maybe I was wrong. I'm looking at Tide, and you had this like kind of spike in puts happen and drop in calls, but your volume didn't really change from it. And now you're having a little decrease in puts, a little increase in calls. You're seeing the market kind of adjust, but I wouldn't be surprised here if you get kind of a move down to finally break VWAP. Given that Tide is showing, I mean, but like I said, we're in the chop zone. There's nothing really to do here until this market shows us something. These are some of the boring times as a trader. And so we've been here about 30 minutes. We made one trade. We kind of underestimated the downside. We tried to enter at the top of the zone and then just got no continuation, and it stopped us out when it closed below that big green candle to start. So now we're back to above orb low, ticking its way up. Volume still got a ways off, but this is definitely not a candle that you ignore. Got a hammer candle off of VWAP, so that's pretty bullish. We got about a minute left on this 10-minute candle. So if it can close above the 8, that'll be a good sign for the bulls. I'm looking at SPY, and it just SPY Tide. It's just not screaming one way or the other, really. Volume starting to tick into the bull side. Call premium ticking up a little bit. Put premium dropping a little bit. But no dramatic move. And you're kind of seeing that play out in the market. I see something here. Forgot to do anchored VWAP. So let's do anchored VWAP off the opening candle. Oh, look at that. That's why you have your tools, folks. So as you can see, we broke out above the 8. We got to the top of anchored VWAP here, right to the nose, and rejected it for now. So we got 20 seconds left on this candle. Let's see if it comes back up and tries to retest it. Yeah. Looking at VIX. VIX is slightly green. It's kind of interesting. But it is coming down. So you got VIX green, you've got market green, you've got QQQ or NQ red. But look at this. I mean, we're just in a choppy mess right now. ES looks a little bit stronger than NQ. NQ is battling its VWAP right now. For you guys that don't know, NQ is the tech QQQ equivalent. It is the highest weighted portion of the S&P 500. So as the Qs move, so does the market. It's kind of the same. Not always, but most of the time. Let's see, coins dropping. Bitcoin's green up 1%, but I think it's come down since, come down. So it's recovering a little bit. My Nike play is just still chopping around. Cannot break and hold 58 for a sustainable move. If you guys remember why I entered Nike, trying to get this chop, trying to get to this gap fill, and entered it, rejected. Now we're going to give it one more go. I need a Vietnam trade deal to help me. We are getting a push higher here. We did break anchored VWAP. So we are testing. I want to see a close above anchored VWAP. We're at 334. Put premium is starting to churn in a little bit on the volume. Sorry, put premium dropping. The volume is red, is starting to tick its way up. Looks like VWAP holding. That was the play. So it's interesting though, is NQ is just kind of chopping around. So, what that tells me is if NQ joins the party, ES will absolutely rip face. So we're keeping an eye on NQ here. VIX looks like it's about to go red. That is not a good looking view on the VIX. ES back under anchored VWAP. Well, it's got some momentum, that's for sure. It's got some good momentum. Yeah, let's see. So had you played the VWAP, kind of holds here. What spooked me a little bit was this declining kind of closed here, closed here, closed here. And then this next candle showed some big move up, but you're starting to see weakness again. And there it is again, an anchored VWAP getting a rejection. We got about a minute 45 on this candle, but that is not turned into a good one. You've got volume increasing on the put side. If this comes back down and breaks under VWAP, you may have a pretty strong move down to the downside, but battling order below now, so does order below become support. And this is why we just don't rush into everything, guys. You just want to take it easy, keep an eye. Could you have gotten this? Sure. You could have moved up, could have played VWAP, pushed it up, and went from VWAP to VWAP and gotten a pretty good trade. That would have been, what, about 9 points playing that, which is great in ES land. But it's just a bit choppy right now. Just no reason to rush into anything. Because just as bearish as that looked, look what it does, right? Pops right up in this last kind of minute of the candle. So will it close at the top of the candle? And if it does, that would be pretty bullish given where it was just recently. So it is popping above anchored VWAP now. You do have put volume increasing a little bit. This is just off on the back of the fear and greed index. We are in fear and we are in neutral in crypto. So nice move up here. A nice close to the candle. Increased volume for the previous candle and increased volume for the previous candle before that. So yeah, you're getting some continuation here. We look at market tide. Let's go. So that volume just inching up. So here we are. I got to the top of the zone. Looks like a little bit of rejection there. But again, this volume here on this candle proceeded the previous two candles. So that tells you that the buyers did show up, and they showed up in full force. But what do they do at the top of the zone? So what you'd want to see here is move up. If we go to the 10-minute, they're still in the same 10-minute candle that broke anchored VWAP. So you have not had a close on that candle just yet. So these last, still got a lot of time, 4 minutes. And if you go to the 5-minute, you can see we're coming kind of back down, retest an anchored VWAP here. Going to retest the 8 low. So it got to the top of the zone, did not like that. It's coming down. But still a lot of time left on these candles. Just chop, 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 chop. We got $250 left. We go to Tide. Seeing that put premium starting to rise. See that call volume starting to kind of peter down. Sorry, the volume starting to move back down. That's good for the bears, bad for the bulls. Bulls right now, you want to hold above this VWAP at 55.49. If you can't hold above VWAP, that's going to be a bad sign. We got a lifetime on this candle though, 2 minutes. So it can recover itself just as fast as it came down. So let's see. The low on it is 52. So it found some support at 52. Let's see what it can. So yeah, I mean, again, guys, it would have been awesome to take this long, ride it all the way up. And of course, you would have timed it perfectly and got out at the top of the zone. But you see just how fast this stuff is moving. It's hard mode, right? We say there's easy mode and there's hard mode. You had big move up, green, big move down, red, kind of a recovery and the chops. And now we're just kind of waiting for that next decision for the market to make. So when there's not, it's kind of a gift and a curse sometimes when there's not major data out, is the market can just kind of do nothing, just kind of chop around. Now, if we hold these levels on a long-term chart and just kind of consolidate all day and chop around in like a 15 to 20 point zone, that's pretty bullish because we've had a move up. And what it's saying is we're holding that move pretty good. So for swing traders and stuff, you'd like to see consolidation here for some strength because it is, like I said, it's holding those gains. Now, this candle's got about 30 seconds left. And it'll be interesting to see if they can push this thing all the way down red. Ooh, it's not a good candle. Closing here. We got 20 seconds left, and it's looks like it's going to close below the 8 unless they can push it a little bit. On the 5-minute, we're definitely below the 8. We're below or below. We're testing VWAP. So you got a little tap of VWAP. Now, if you're the bears, you want to see any sort of continuation here. Do you get any continuation? It looks like potentially, yes. You're battling VWAP here. You're seeing, look at that volume too on that previous candle. If we go to the 5-minute, volume matched the volume of the big green candle. I want that gone. There we go. So look where we are. You know, we took a little detour, went up, came back, and now we're just kind of hanging out. However, this is the candle by candle, the downside on the 5-minute and on the 10-minute. You are breaking below VWAP, so the next big monster is going to be this 50. On the 10-minute, on the 5-minute, it is already broken. It is testing the 50s right now. So the next big monster there, we'll highlight that, is the 200. So as we break down, SPY tide, so that volume increasing, premiums are coming down, so are call premiums, that volume's increasing. So yeah, the trade, look at that rejection at the top of our zone, breakdown of anchored VWAP, break one candle, top of the zone, anchored VWAP, and orb low. Then the next candle, continuation down, VWAP, 50-day moving average, 50 moving average on the 5-minute. And now we get a test potentially of this 200. This wick here, we want to see if the buyers are still around for us, but now the Mancini levels back in play, the 55.34. So we want to see if that will act as a magnet, hold, and if it does go down there, hold, and can show some strength, you could take a long off of that, but looks like a short at orb low would have been a good spot here. Put it there, and then you could have put your stop above anchored VWAP. You could have rode this all the way down. So look at SPY tide. And I would love those SPY premiums to push up again. I do not love the fact that they're pushing down a little bit. But again, you had that push down on the volume, but the volume's kind of ticking back up. I know everybody may be watching like, well, why didn't you take some of these trades? All this stuff. I mean, you got to look left sometimes, guys. And if you look left, let's go to the 1-hour chart. You look left, not a lot of movement here, guys. We're chopping. So the 1-hour candle is a chop fest. Now, that's a pretty bearish 1-hour candle now that you zoom out, but it's going to chop. And now you've held that 50. You didn't break down. You've got a wick forming at the other spot where the previous wick was. So do you see buyers again push it up to VWAP? Now, what you would like to see is a retest of VWAP, a failure, and a push down. However, this wick gives me caution to try and short it, even if it comes up to VWAP and breaks down, because the buyers are still present. So you can't just rush into shorts. You can't rush into anything really. Oh, forgot to share my stream. All right, so hope everybody's doing good. We've got these big wicks. I don't like them. Makes me shy away from the trade. And so now you've got a big wick and you're testing VWAP. So you've got red flags all over the place to just kind of sit on your hands. That's the best approach. Break above VWAP here on this candle. As bearish as that candle may look, folks, and it could still end up being bearish. Look at this volume pop in. So the volume came in on the wick. So you could have a potential hammer candle. I mean, the 10-minute candle shows you just this thing is 3 points away from going green. How bullish would that look? Big move down and then buyers stepping in. So you can definitely scalp it. You can definitely scalp it for a few points here and there. Hold runners, but even if you were holding runners and you had aggressive stops, I mean, these wicks are making you stop out pretty quick. So hard mode. We continue to say hard mode. At this point, you kind of welcome a Trump tweet or two to give us some direction. Dallas Fed Manufacturing just came out, did not have that on. It's not really. Oh my gracious! -35. Forecast was -17. So Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index missed by 100%. So that could be why you had that little move down. I mean, again, when the market doesn't have major data on its schedule, any data can jar it a bit. But now look at this 10-minute candle. This is pretty bullish. 3 minutes left on the candle, and look at it recover. So you broke back above. Come on. 5 minute. TradingView's acting slow today. Lovely piece of software, though. Broke back above VWAP, broke back above orb low. You had increased volume with a huge wick on this previous candle. People would say that looks bearish, but like I told you, the volume came in on the bottom wick. So you've got a good looking setup here, potentially for a long. If you go to the 10-minute chart, it's a super bullish candle here. Doesn't mean you just enter, but you have to acknowledge it that you don't want to go short right now. You got SPY volume ticket up. You've got the put premium kind of ticket down. I told you on that move down, I really wanted SPY premium to kind of keep ticking up. It has not. So, yeah, I mean, if you were an aggressive trader here and you wanted to enter, you could probably scale way down, enter a long, probably on this 8 that's kind of hidden behind here at 54, and then set your stop to below VWAP. So if VWAP gets tagged or breaks below VWAP, you would just get stopped out. For me, I'm being a little bit more cautious. I got to see a sustainable move. What I want to see is if this candle can push up, break at the top of the zone, retest the zone, and then lift off. That would be awesome. But for now, we've seen how fast this stuff can move on a dime. So you just don't want to get caught in that. Take a look at the news. If anything, Senor Bloomberg. Yeah, Dallas Fed Manufacturing. Spain had a big blackout. I think Portugal did too. They're not saying it's a cyber attack. That's good. Mancini, anything? Organized days so far. 55.34 was support, and 55.65 held target. We've held 34, ran to 65. 74 was then first bonus target, dipped there. No change. 55.34. He is saying is weak now. That was about a half hour ago. Supports are at 55.15, upside 55.65, 74. So not a lot to go off of there. We just, again, back in a chop zone. If we go to the 1 hour chart, that 1 hour candle. It's looked ugly, about 20 minutes ago. Now it's looking pretty neutral, slightly bullish. 5 minute candle can't quite break anchored VWAP still struggling. So now we're stuck between anchored VWAP and orb low. So we're keeping an eye on that. But a little mini, if Monty was here, he would appreciate this. Little mini H pattern forming So up, but didn't get continuation on it here. I would have liked to have seen a continuation. So will it be a W, or will it be an H, or will it be a sideways middle finger to us all? Looks like sideways middle finger is what we're getting. We go back to SPY tide. You got a little increase in volume on the put side. You got a little uptick in the put premium. We go to the general market. So I put SPY. There's your general market. So that dotted line is out of the money puts, and dotted line is out of the money calls. But the general consensus right now is puts are in control. The downside is definitely in control on the options market. And as we see, we're getting a push down here. We're back below orb low, back below VWAP, back below the 50 now. Pretty bearish candle right out the gate. We've still got 330 left on it. We'll flip over to the 10-minute. Same scenario. Again, guys, bullish candle, then next candle, not so fast. This is looking pretty bearish now with lining with tide. Not seeing any news pop up that would indicate a candle, because you're also not seeing much volume showing up with the candle. Granted, it is a new candle. So we wait for our setup. Hope you guys are having fun. This is where you got to do a hobby, or you just look around and be like, maybe I can do something else. Set your levels, set your alerts, and then just do something else until it shows itself. And as bearish as that candle look, here it comes back up above VWAP, retest an orb low. It's chop, chop, chop. Now Friday I got chopped up, so, and then only to have the move that I anticipated happen, of course, happens after I'm already locked up and account blown and all that fun stuff. So I'm refusing to make that happen again. Now, come on, looking at the 10-minute, you have now back-to-back wicks above VWAP. So they tried to push this down on a low volume effort. It got eaten up. Let's see on the second half of this candle. Let's go back to the 5-minute candle. We got about 1:30 left. If you'll get this continuation push, but you can see the volume is starting to dry up a little bit. So that also indicates potential chop until a better reason forms for people to enter the market. But I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you haven't, like and subscribe our channel. If you're watching us on Twitter, welcome. I do need to put that up somewhere so I can make sure I don't miss out on any comments that are on the Twitter side. Our software does not support StreamYard does not give us Twitter posts, but either way, fun, great platform. Highly recommend it if you guys want to do any of this stuff. We're getting a push up here. You are breaking above anchored VWAP again. So what you want to do is you want to get a close above anchored VWAP. You have increased volume from the previous candle. That's a positive. Got 25 seconds left. If you can get a green push up here, it would be the first candle in about 15 minutes to close above anchored VWAP, orb low, and VWAP. So we shall wait. So that candle did close above anchored VWAP. We are going to come back and test anchored VWAP. Probably not a bad spot to enter along if you're aggressive. Again, your stop could be as tight as orb low, or you could, be a little bit more aggressive. SPY tide volume is kicking up a little bit. eating it. I do like this increased volume. I do like the wick. And I do like that we're above anchored VWAP. Again, objectively, I don't think it's a bad play to go long. As you see, push up here. Let's see if this has any staying power. I'd like to see 10-minute. Well, I'd like to see increased volume on this candle, but it is going up against a monster. But even if it can get to this candle, that would be good. So the problem with these lower volume candles that you have to pay attention to is that they can quickly get faded. They don't have as much staying power. So even though the candle itself looks bullish, the volume associated with the candle matters because it can quickly get faded if any volume shows up. Now, why would volume show up in the market right now? Well, probably not unless a news event happens. So that does favor the upside. And if you did take that long off of the anchored VWAP, retest on the 5-minute, you're up about a couple points, 3 to 4 points right now. I don't know, not seeing it, not seeing it too clear. We are approaching a spot where we did reject last time, so that's obviously on my mind. If we do a quick trend line, right? So you have this dip break above, had a rejection, hold. This is the candle that breaks above it. So, I mean, technically we did get a retest of the anchored VWAP. It is ticking up. Let's see that 10-minute. At this point, guys, of course, I'm just kind of looking for a trade, which is always dangerous. There's good setups here, but I've got to be careful and mindful that I am looking for a trade and not necessarily seeing an A+ setup. A+ setups, they include, flip over to SPY tide. They include more of tides in your favor, volumes in your favor. We're out of a chop zone that we've been in. As bullish as all this is, we still are just in this chop zone. We haven't broken orb high. We're just above anchored VWAP. So, man, kind of a boring strange. This is where I need money so I can talk it out. We can distract ourselves with something else. I'm sure we would have talked about Shedeur Sanders or Ole Miss frat guys pranking Shedeur Sanders or all sorts of good stuff. Can 100 men defeat one silverback gorilla? I've enjoyed that dialogue online. It is holding above anchored VWAP. We've got about 50 seconds left on this 5-minute candle. That also corresponds with the 10-minute candle. Just could not get that volume push that I was hoping for. And that trend line, guys, that I'm true is not a very strong one. It's just more of just to keep reminding ourselves that we are in a little bit of a downtrend from the open. But that's by no means meant to be a guide for my trades at all. Ten seconds left on this candle. We're looking around Mag 7. Nothing's really moving. I mean, we're literally just chopping. This is an options killer type day. So there's your close. Let's see if you bounce back up, bounce back down, bounce from anchored VWAP, or does it have any sort of continuation? My hunch is we probably push back down to anchored VWAP and bounce. These candles, though, these wicks, there's your anchored VWAP push down. These wicks have a story. And you have the wicks up here, right? Also telling a story. And we are pushing down below anchored VWAP. I'm sure it's going to be more aggressive on the 5-minute. Getting a little bit of momentum here. So, or below. Again, that's kind of why I didn't really just jump into a long. As Monty confirmed, he survived. I got a message from Monty at 3 a.m. yesterday. So beyond that, I have no idea. Now, only good things happen after 3 a.m. So I'm going to assume he's okay, but I've got only a 7-hour window from the last time I've heard from him. So I assume I'll hear from him in a. I imagine my communication with Monty this week will be mainly through Discord, through text, as he will not be able to talk, which is good. That means he had a good vacation. Increase in puts volume here. Interestingly, this move down again creates a wick. That fool probably got back from the bar and looked at I wouldn't doubt it. You know, my go-to at the bar is to show them the orb lows and highs that I've traded in my years past. Seems to be a big hit. That's why I'm happily married to my future ex-wife. So we've got orb low holding, maybe. Your volume increased here. You've got 2 minutes left. You've almost got as much volume as you did on the previous candle. So we want to see if the volume shows up on this candle. Is it going to create the wick? Because that would mean the buyers have stepped in and they want to push this higher. Another interesting thing on that push up, you didn't make a new high. So high here, top of the zone, couldn't quite get there. So that shows weakness, that we are still bit in a downtrend. But you've got a lot to get through here. It's just, I know I've said it like 1,000 times on this stream. It's just chop. Yeah, big conversation, sir. Yes, the orb low and orb high will get you in a conversation. Speaking of that, it's a good segue. So I was talking to a buddy of mine about trading. And one of our biggest problems that we both share is that we average down on trades. So when we're down, we're low. On a trade, we'll move our stop, we'll average down. Move our stop, we'll average down. And it ends up, our risk is out the window. We blow up an account or lose our real money in a swing account or whatever it may be. So I kind of came up with the example. I said, well, maybe it's like when you approach a girl at the bar, you buy her a drink. Are you going to keep buying her drinks if she's obviously not interested in you and keeps feeding her drinks to some other people? Probably not. You're probably going to get up and say, this one didn't work out. I'm off and moving. So it's kind of the same thing with a trade, right? If the trade is not going your way, you're not going to keep feeding it drinks and buying more of it in hopes that it turns its way. You know that it didn't work out. You just need to back away, reset, and start again. Now, on the flip side, if the conversation's going good, you buy her a drink. Well, guess what you're going to do? You're going to buy her another drink. And you're buying another drink. You're going to average up on a winning position. So kind of keep that in mind when you're in a bad trade. I have not told Monty this. I kind of came up with it this weekend. I can't wait to share it with him tomorrow. You guys will get a repeat of it on the stream. But if you're in a bad trade, treat it like you're approaching man or woman, whatever your preference is, at the bar, and it just didn't work out with her. So you cut the bait, you look for another option at the bar, or maybe you just don't see anything appealing and you call it a day. Probably saved me a lot more money if I did this in trading. So that's how I'm going to approach this. As you see, we did bounce off of VWAP. We did have increased volume on that candle on the downside, and it did close lower than where we were when we were watching the volume. So that tells me bears have kind of stepped in. The tide has just been a whole lot of nothing. I mean, it's the same pattern. You got a little increase in volume, but nothing crazy on the put side. Again, just nothing clear. I mean, you zoom out a little bit and you've got this move down you could have caught. This move up you could have caught, but you had to do some chop and then down. But if you go to the 10-minute, it's just a choppy mess. Like to see this candle. We got 3:30 left. Again, volume matters. We want to see it break above that previous candle's volume. Now, this does not look good, to be honest. This is about as bearish as we've gotten since that big red candle. But as you can see, as I say that, buyer stepped in. Are we going to create yet another wick in this gravestone of bears that tried to short down here? Looks like it, potentially. Tide is not suggesting any difference. General market tide has a little bit of increase. Yeah. I just need to see this volume. Give me a volume stick. Now, if you traded this thing from 55.60 to 55.50, you could have just gone up and down on it. Been pretty good. Yep, Dickard, nailed it. Sit on your hands type of morning. I did not, and I got popped on the first trade. So I'm just trying to see if anything is clear. I mean, I can make it work. Don't get me wrong. If you want a reason to get into trade, just ask. I can tell you a reason. But it's just nothing. Now, when this moved down, again, you want to see that volume. We've got about 1:30 left. So you want to see the volume take over. And I mean, now a Trump tweet would be pretty nasty to the market. A little weaker. Oh, did have a drop in call premium here. Let me flip over there to that one. Let's see, drop in call premium, put premium rising, put volume rising. So you're starting to get a little bit of consistency here. And then what do we got? We got 45 seconds left on this candle. It is inching ever so slightly to the previous candle's volume. On the 5-minute, I think it's already... No, it has superseded that kind of weak green candle up there. But as you can see, towards the end of the candle, buyers showing up, pushing it up, creating another damn wick. I kind of like this to the downside, to be honest, but give me the volume. Give me the volume. This, if you close above VWAP, or close below VWAP, this will be the first one since this red candle, and that was the only candle since the open that closed below VWAP. So, and it just did close below VWAP. We basically got a mimic in volume. So do you get a VWAP test and break down, or do the buyers show up? So far, buyers show up, pushed it back above VWAP. I don't know if it's going to hold, though. You got put premiums are rising. Kind of leaning to a short here, guys. Maybe it gets up to that orb low and rejects. Oh, it's not going to do it. Orb low is 53.50. Decreased volume of the previous candle, though. Yeah. Slight breakdown. We're back below VWAP. Back above VWAP. So it's tried to break down, and then buyer stepped in right at the bottom of this candle, right about the 21 ribbon and the 10. Put premiums are rising, call premiums are dropping, volumes kind of staying static, but those premiums are ripping up. So you do have bear notch in the put premium side. You are battling VWAP, and now we just pushed way above, or it's not way above, but we pushed above VWAP. Oh, we had a spike up and then a fade. I don't know what that spike up was. So spiked up to orb low. We're now retesting orb low here. Oh, I don't like that spike up, but I think I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to take it here and see if we can't break down below, back below VWAP. Okay. That worked out. Well, it did. So we've got put premium still rising. You got call premium kind of ticked up. So, yeah, I like the top of this wick if it can hold it. It's still a lifetime on this candle, though. We are battling VWAP here. This candle should definitely have more volume than the previous candle. I just need a little bit of weakness. Show your face. We flip over to market tide. You can see volume ever so slightly ticking against me. Put premiums rising. This candle's starting to go in my favor. If it could just break VWAP and hold, please. Just break VWAP and hold. It's a battle. I would love for this candle to go red in this last minute. Put premiums continue to increase. Volume, though, not following suit. That's not good. Just break. Just break. Get to the Mancini level. Oh, not going the right way. Got about 45 seconds left on this candle. You are getting a push up towards the end of the candle. That's not a good sign from a short. Don't like this closing above VWAP. VIX is green. It has gone up. It's now up 1.5%. Apple looks like it's about to go red. That's good from a short. Come on. $49. Boom. Good close there below VWAP. I like that. Now it just needs continuation. For the love of God, give me some continuation. It's not giving me continuation. Put premiums continue to rise. The volume is now increased on the downside. yeah, if we can just get this thing at that 45 level, that'll clean up. I'll clean up my day. I got the sell at 45. It's probably a little greedy, but I'm a greedy type of guy. So just below the 50 now in the fives. There's your break. What's the 10-minute chart showing? Oh, come on. Come on. Come on, darling. 2 points away. 1.5 point away. I'm going to move my stop to break even like a coward. Oh, let it get me. Hey. What? Didn't fill. Oh, there it goes. It got me. All right. All right. We got our money back. We've had good. Should have kept it longer, but need to get back on the green side. So that setup worked out nicely. Yeah. So now we're going to eye this thing, see if the Mancini line holds true. This could easily recoil itself back up here at that 50. So you got to be careful. Remember, these are where these wicks were. And this is part of the reason why I took the sell so aggressively there. All things considered, I should probably have let this thing run a little bit, but I wanted to see green back in my account, and that trade accomplished that. So was that about hour and a half between trades, hour and 15 minutes. And so now you're getting a little bit of you're still not out of the woods with the chop zone. So you're still in the chop zone, but you're just on the lower end of it. So to really break down, obviously you want to break 55, 40 to that Mancini line of 55, 34. We'll see what it does here. So regardless, if I would have let this thing run, I would have definitely moved my stop up to 55, 45, and it would have tagged it on a little move that it just did up. And now it's breaking down 55, 40. Hopefully you guys are still in it. Make that bread. We are now approaching the low where we've gotten these aggressive wicks. So if no buyers show up here, that's a sign. Spy Tide is saying, Roy, you moron, you shouldn't have sold. You've got volume increasing, you got put premium increasing both to the downside. So you definitely have momentum from the bears for the first time in a little bit. However, the volume on the candles are a little weak. So you got to be cautious on that. So even though this move down is happening, the volume is not huge by any stretch. There's 55.37. So now we've broken the previous low. Now we're breaking down a little bit more. We're approaching that 55.34 level of Mancini. We are at the 200 on the 5 minute. That's important to show. And we just ripped right through that. Okay. So now I really regret not holding my runner. As we break down, put premiums are just rising very rapidly and volume is increasing. So you're getting some clarity right now on the market itself as it closes that candle on the 10-minute, very bearish candle, increased volume from the previous candle. I'll see how much they can push this up, but it does approach that close to that Mancini level. Yeah, just not a good look. Just not a good look. Not a good look. All right. So we've watched this thing go. Looking for entries on puts now. If you, sorry, on shorts or puts, you're breaking down here. You're now approaching the bottom of our zone. You're approaching the Mancini level, which is now right on it. That has been kind of the magnet, as you saw from this action here. Blah 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 blah. That line just kind of gets knocked around. So we've now hit it to a T. See a little bounce. My guess you break down a little bit more beyond it. Again, guys, our short was up here on this VWAP test. We took a little heat on it, never really broke above anchored VWAP. And now we've seen it come down. So if you're in a short, start looking for profit taking. I was obviously way too aggressive on mine, but you are approaching a good level that it has been bounced on, and that somebody that I trust has mentioned to keep an eye on it. So we are in the game of risk management, and we're in the game of taking profits, sometimes too aggressively, but I can't get hurt today now. I have not locked that account yet, but I've now inched my way closer to my goal on that account. And so now what you want to see is buyers have stepped in off that level. You want to see if it is going to go back down and retest it. You could get a retest and break down below it. That would be ideal. Or you could just bounce right off of it, come right back into the chop zone. It looks like it wants to do. You don't typically break the 200 on the first pass. And if we look in pre-market, look where it bounced overnight. 200. Got close, bounced off VWAP here. Now we're back at 200 with a bounce. So that's the 5-minute 200 is always a strong one. Kind of look back on Friday. That's a bit muddy. But it just snaked that 200 all day. And then when it finally was like, screw it, we're gone, it just ripped higher. And it ripped higher to break orb high. And even if you waited for it to break orb high, you still got 30-point runway. Or if you came back and played a retest of orb high, you would have gotten a 30-point runway. I mean, it was a beautiful trading day on Friday that I just completely flubbed. But some days, what does Monty say? Some days you're the bug, some days you're the windshield. We are getting a nice bounce off of this. Amazingly, it's still not to where I sold it, which is kind of embarrassing, but that's why you keep yourself accountable. So as your push up, almost like 10, 12-point push up off that bottom. So even if you just waited all day for Mancini's level here, 34, and ignored all this noise and just waited for this, you say, I'm going to long off of this and I'll put my stop below the zone. You would have gotten yourself a 12-point trade off of that. So let me know in the comments, guys, how you guys are doing. Green, red, read it right, neutral, haven't taken a trade. Got busy at work, got into an argument with your boss. Yeah, just let me know. I've got probably about 15 more minutes left for me to keep streaming. I'd like to see if I can get another opportunity here. Did not see a lot of continuation on that move up. So looks like the sellers stepped right back in, and they may push this thing now. Yeah, they're coming. They're coming for that Mancini level. So, any news? I'm so caught up in the price action. Get any news? Crypto fear. Yemen's Houthis vow to continue attacks in the Red and Arabian Seas after suspected U.S. attacks. So the Houthis are not backing down. Shocking. Fed bids for 3-month bills total $5.6 billion. All right. So now you're kind of hanging out at support. So we're just kind of chilling. No need to rush it. If you miss that short, no problem. There will be another trade. We have to wait for structure. Wick is forming off that bottom, so did try to push it down. Couldn't quite get there. Did not form a new low. Something to keep an eye on. We are battling that 200 on the 5. We switch over to the 10. Ew. That is an ugly 10-minute candle. Yeah, you don't like that top wick there if you're a bull. 3 minutes left on this candle, though, so we could get a lot of information here in the next 3 minutes. If we flip over to Tide, you have that little pop in volume. It is continually going the puts way, and we are getting another push down. So if you were ultra aggressive, you could have played the 8 kind of rejection here and then put your stop maybe above anchored VWAP. I mean, that's pretty loose, but it would have to break the 8 VWAP, the 50 or below, and anchored VWAP, and this, what looks like a pretty nice trend line now. So you just I'm gonna do it like that. Yeah. Bearish candle forming here. It's still 2 minutes left on the candle. We are testing the 34 level. So, that is not a good look. But let's continue to climb as we push higher on volume as well. All of Mag 7 is red. And Q is down 0.6. ES down 0.2. Battling this level, so you don't do anything here. You let it see what it's going to do. Even though all indications are pointing it could break down, but don't get ahead of the move. See what the candle does. You've got a minute left, and it could easily turn into a green candle off of support. And congrats, Mike. Good job. Up 225. It's a good day. $225 a day in the market gets you a $60,000 a year salary. So you want to average $225 to $250 a day, get you $60,000. It does not take much to make $200 in this game too. So if you can stay disciplined and wait for your setups, you can make good money in this thing. And don't ever let anybody tell you that $200 is not enough, because that's all you would need to make a modest living in this country. Well, a living in this country. I won't say modest, but you keep your wins more frequent than your losses, and keep your losses small. My problem has always been I have consistent gains, and then one day just boom. So I've put in stops, I've put in limits, I've put in stuff. I just, for whatever reason, I'll end up having that one day that just kills my psyche, and I go on this like kind of cold streak, if you will. But that's okay. Now we are breaking this level, so it is risky to take a short here, but you could be aggressive take another short and put the stop above, say, the bottom Bollinger Band here, maybe. It's about a 6 point stop, but as you can see, it wicks up and goes. It's just that support. You just got to be careful. Um, any sort of strength off of this line could trigger people to say, oh, okay, we just had a little bit of a pullback. We're now able to go long without any worries. However, Tide is suggesting don't you dare go long. Um, and this is the breakdown. Now we're approaching the bottom of our zone, 55.27. Looking for a potential reaction there. Boy, that 55.45 short sell was a little bit foolish in hindsight here. There's your bottom of the zone test. Tide is continually suggesting that there's no relief in sight. So if you were the aggressive trader and entered when I said it would be a nice one, you could potentially move down here to break even. Now we're at the bottom of the zone. We want to see it test. We're at the 200 on the 10-minute. And if I was in the trade, I would be probably looking at 50% of this candle, moving the stop to like 55, 30, 50. Potentially could come up, take me out. However, it does secure a green trade. Now, if you want to enter a short, I mean, you're Johnny lately, but that's okay. You want to see this hold, retest the bottom of the zone, see how it reacts, and break down. You are getting a bend in the Bollinger Bands as well, and bend in VWAP. Anchored VWAP just been straight down since that pop. So you are getting signs that maybe a more significant move down could take place. 55.15 was the other kind of level that Mancini was looking at. So we're going to add that to our chart. And so if you want to play a level by level, you could potentially play top of the zone, reject. It's got to break that 200, but if it does, play it down to the 15 mark. I would not recommend, if you ever do like sells, like for me, I try not to do the number to the nose. So like 55.15 nose, just do like 55, 50, 55.15, 50. Give yourself a couple ticks. Sometimes when you even get close to a level, the buyers will step in, and then you're going to be aggravated that you never got filled. And Mike C, next step, prop firm. All right. We are an expert on this. I can tell you, I have blown up more accounts than I'd like to admit, but I have gotten a lot of payouts as well. So we are all about the prop firm, especially for learning, teaching. It's a great program, great things. Find the right companies, Top Step, Take Profit Trader. It's a different world, right? It makes you master your own emotions and your own weaknesses, because there's basically an unlimited amount of trades you can do. There isn't, I mean, you obviously have built-in risk because you can blow up an account, but there's nothing stopping you by default that you have to do this. Otherwise you blow up you can blow up your account no matter what. You have to put those settings in to protect yourself. So it's a good little system. I am a big fan of the prop firms. 55.23 here. So you are breaking down beyond the 200. Volumes, not the best, but again, nice breakdown. Well, 5-minute chart. 5-minute candle, that was a good volume candle. I missed that. So now we want to see it, right? You're kind of in no man's land on the 5-minute. So you want to see it retest this top of the zone at 27 and then potentially break down. But I don't know. Sold too soon. Let's do the fun game. Where did I enter? Entered right about 51. So that was 31 points ago. Instead, I got 6 points because I'm a jackass. 55.20. Here we break down. Looks like it's coming down to 55.15. This is kind of the power, too, guys, of starting out red, and why it's such a crutch for me sometimes that I have to start out green. If I start out green, I'm still in this trade. I'm scaling it properly. I'm doing all the things you're supposed to do because, I'm just a perfect trader. But starting out red, you just get this mindset of, I'm green again. Let me just get out. Let me reset. And if there's another opportunity that shows up, I'll take it. But regardless, this is SPY Tide is showing, again, no reason to go long. Volume continues to pick up on the downside. Premiums continue to pick up. I would like a retest of that zone, but I don't know if we're going to get it, and that's okay. Now you're playing with support that you found in the early stages of last night's trading session. But as bearish as this looks, guys, it's in the grand scheme of things, we are just kind of hanging out up here. I mean, that is a pretty nasty 1 hour candle. But there are plenty of spots, right? You've got obviously 5,500 is a big spot. 55.15 is a big spot. Yeah, just not seeing much to do. I mean, you can chase this. You can chase it down. This was the setup here. Nice wick off the 10. This was the setup. Nice wick off the 10. If you go back and let's review our trades a little, or review the day. 55.15 is going to get approached, and I'm going to cry off camera. You had a candle by candle to the upside that did not work out. That's the one that caught me. Then you had a candle by candle to the downside that could have worked out. But technically, you could have played the candle by candle to the downside, put the stop at the top of the candle, and would have taken quite a bit of heat. But you would have been able to capitalize on the move down. Never got another candle by candle to the upside. And you got another candle by candle to the downside here. That was the big one. That was the perfect entry. You had a wick into the body, come back down, break down, similar breakdown. So you could be trailing this down as we should be, right? And not be so aggressive in trying to secure profits. Nothing wrong with securing profits, though. 55.15 has been tested, so we are now set a new low for the session. The last time we were this low was 150, which we had a wick up off of last Friday. So we're kind of looking at resistance, rip up, support, rip up, and now we're back at it. So does this break down or does it continue to act as support? My hunch is we kind of hold here and grind. However, Tide is suggesting, Roy, you're wrong. It's continually rising on the put volume and the put premium. The call premium continues to drop. So I would be interested to see the next green candle. Does it have any staying power? Well, guys, it's 11:30 my local time. Looks like we may have a green candle form on this one, but I think I'm going to call it unless you guys have any questions or concerns. I'm going to probably take a little break since we've hit a key level. I'm not trying to So rush a trade or do anything. I'll kind of stick around for another minute or so. If anybody's got any questions, more than happy to answer. Don't forget about that bar analogy I gave you guys. When you're in a losing trade, don't keep buying her drinks. And so we've got to push up here at 1750. Tide suggesting this isn't going to last too long. Still not oversold on your RSI, believe it or not, on the 5-minute or the 10-minute. What does it do? What does it do? Failed breakdown on 55.50 would be pretty bullish. Just saying, if you don't break this and it just stops and comes back up, it would be a pretty bullish sign as we just bounce off of it 5 points. Because of course, put premiums are still rising, or they dipped just a hair. Volume though dipped as well. So now if this comes back and drops, manual as do I ever use the 5-minute orb? I started with the 5-minute orb. Let me tell you why I didn't love it. Now I think it's still a very good trade. Here lately, the candles have been so big that it's probably the better approach to use the 5-minute, so you don't have such a wide range. But to me, answer your question, yes, I've used the 5-minute orb. I like the 5-minute orb, so let's review that. So 5-minute orb here would be 55, let's call it 55, and 55, let's call it 70. So 15-point range. You could have had a failed breakdown here, a rip up, push up, a retest into the orb, pushed up, failed, come back down. I mean, it didn't really give you much today, but yeah, I think the 5-minute's good. I think honestly you should look at both, a 5-minute or the 15-minute. To be completely honest with you, I switched to the 15-minute orb because that forces me to wait 15 minutes to trade. Whereas the 5-minute, I found myself itching to get in as soon as it came in. But the 15-minute orb at least gave me 3 candles with volume. That would at least give me a little bit more of confidence to get into stuff. And again, delayed me a little bit from jumping into a trade because I needed that to form first before I could trade. So inherently pushes me away further from the open, which has historically been my weakest spot, especially on Mondays when you're waiting all weekend. I say waiting, but you haven't been trading for a couple of days, and then Monday happens, and you're like, oh, let's do it. So yeah, there's a psychological reason why I don't do the 5-minute, but there's nothing wrong with the 5-minute orb. Hopefully that answered your question. So side note, we are seeing a little support on that 15 level. What you want to see now is if we're going to come back, we're going to test it. Is it going to hold it? Or is this a 5,500 test in the future? Yeah, if that's it for the questions, guys, I will call it here. I've got some other stuff I need to do. Not an entertaining stream. Monty's back tomorrow. He probably won't be able to talk, so you'll probably hear a lot of me tomorrow as well. I'll probably crack a bunch of jokes that he can't respond to, so tune in. It'll be fun. Everybody on Twitter, thanks for joining us. Everybody on YouTube, as always, thanks for joining us. Guys, be safe out there. Don't overtrade. Take your time. Wait for your setups. We did that today. You saw the downside of rushing into a trade in the morning, and then you saw the positive of me waiting and catching a much bigger move and a much stronger move. So, guys, appreciate it. Michael, have a good one. Thanks for the shout out. You guys enjoy. Bye.